So what we hope to cover in this morning's webinar is a little bit of background and context about the Maternity Disparities Consortium, a little bit of detail about our overall capacity development programme. Then we will go into more specifics about our pre-application support fund that we're focusing on today, and specifically talk about our eligibility criteria and what we expect of applicants for this award. We will then take you through how to make an application, and then we'll move over to some questions that we've already had. But as I said earlier, you're very much encouraged to send us any other questions that you have as we go through the webinar. Okay, so first of all, I hope many of you have already heard about the Maternity Disparities Consortium, but you may not know very much about it, so we wanted to share some information during the webinar. So the purpose of the Maternity Disparities Consortium, which was the first of the NIHR Inequalities Challenge calls, is to bring together a diverse range of organisations with expertise in research, capacity building, and working with people and communities to deliver a step change in maternity outcomes and developing future research leaders in this area of need. And our research focus is on reducing inequalities before, during, and after pregnancy. And just a few more words about what we're trying to achieve through the consortium and through our capacity development programme is we're trying to provide an innovative and transformative programme of capacity development awards, which will be embedded within the consortium's research areas, and we'll say a little bit more about that in a moment, reflecting who and what is needed to address maternity inequalities. We hope we can focus on growing inclusive long-term research capacity and expertise, especially within underrepresented disciplines, professions, and underserved communities, supporting the next generation of researchers with the right skills to work across clinical practice and research sectors. We hope to build the next generation of maternity disparities research leaders, strengthen the workforce to deliver and sustain impact across the UK, and deliver on the government's priorities, which include the renewed Women's Health Strategy for England and the 10-year health plan for England. The NIHR put out a call for this first Inequalities Challenge back in May 2024, and we were encouraged to put applications forward with involving 4 organisations per application. 9 collaborations were successful in that call, and they're indicated in this map you have here. This is a UK-wide consortium. It's not English-based, which is what NIHR does fund a lot of. And we've got a range of organisations included in the consortiums, not just universities, but also local councils, trusts, clinical commissioning groups, charities, etc. Next slide, thank you. So our capacity development programme, I've already told you a bit about what we hope to achieve by that. So it is all about building the next generation of leaders who will be working and delivering in service around maternity disparities research. We are targeting professional groups that we've identified are missing such opportunities, and targeting methodologies, settings, and disciplines which are currently underrepresented in maternity disparities research. Next slide, please. Okay, so I said I'd say a little bit more about the research programs within the consortium, and this diagram is here to summarise that. So we have 2 co-leads, myself and my colleague, Professor Jyot Chandan, who's based at the University of Birmingham. And the capacity development side of the consortium sits within Newcastle University. We have 3 research themes, as indicated here. Theme 1 is around preconception and inter-pregnancy health. Theme 2 is around pregnancy, birth, and early postnatal maternal health. And theme 3 is neonatal and longer-term child and family outcomes. We have 2 work streams. First one is around access, communication, and experience. The second one is around racism, discrimination and intersectionality. And we have two core functions that underpin all of this work. One is in community engagement and co-production. The other one is in digital economics, data linkage and analytics. And our capacity development programme crosses all of these themes, work streams and core functions. Next slide, please. Within each theme, work stream and core function, we have a capacity development lead. So as well as the team that's already introduced themselves to you based in Leeds, each of the themes, work streams and core functions has a capacity development lead. And their names are listed here for each of the different themes and work streams and core functions. And these are individuals that you really should be engaging with now already if you are interested in putting in an application for a pre-application support fund. As I said, these slides will be shared with you and the contacts, etc., will be made available to you on the website. Next slide, please. So this pre-application fund is obviously the focus of our webinar today, but it is within a range of capacity development opportunities that we will be offering as the Maternity Disparities Consortium. It's not my intention today to go through each one of these. We will be having subsequent webinars to highlight each of the schemes when we arrive at that point in our schedule. But just really to share with you that we do have other capacity development opportunities, including PhD methodology studentships, salaried doctorates for target groups, and postdoctoral fellowships. These will run, as I say, over the course of the next 5 years. We are focusing on the pre-application support fund and the PhD methodology studentships over the next few months. And I think at this point, I hand over to Andy. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Judith. I am now just going to talk you through the specific pre-application support fund. So the main purpose of this award is really to provide protected time for the awardees to produce a high quality and competitive career development award. Now, this can be at any career stage from pre-doctoral, doctoral and postdoctoral. The most important thing is that you have selected the right career development award for you, your research interests and your career stage. This award allows you protected time from your professional or caring responsibilities to prepare for your planned application for a career development funding award. It also allows you to access additional support to remove barriers you would otherwise face because of a disability or a health condition. The award also allows you to gain access to necessary research training resources that are directly related to your future application. For example, this might be research methods or working with people and communities, which has also been referred to as patient and public involvement. The award gives you opportunities to further develop and broaden your collaborations, as well as get a supervisor and or a mentor input on your application. So you can apply for up to £30,000 for this award, which includes the cost for your salary, training, and any patient public involvement and engagement work. The award can take up to a maximum of 12 months, and as long as all the awards are completed by 31st of December 2027. So to give you a summary, we have 10 awards in total. The deadline for applications is the 30th of July, and we're hoping to give outcomes by early September, and awardees can start from October this year. So in terms of scope of funding, this award provides funding towards salary costs for individuals to buy out time from their current responsibilities to enhance or prepare an application for a career development award. Now, this can either be for a block of time, for example, 12 weeks, or it can provide support to buy someone out for 1 or 2 days a week for up to a maximum of 12 months. Please note the scheme will pay 100% of direct costs only and will not provide any overhead costs. The award provides funding for an individual's training and development associated with enhancing a planned application for a career development award. The award will fund costs associated with public involvement and engagement on an application for a career development award. But just to note on that, all support should be in line with the funder's public contributor payment policy. The award also funds costs associated with accessibility and reasonable adjustment required to support the development of an application because of a health condition or disability or caring responsibilities. It does not include provision for direct costs, nor does it cover fees for conferences. So in summary, this award will fund salary buyout, training courses modules, public involvement and engagement, accessibility and reasonable adjustments. It will not fund overhead costs, conference fees and direct costs. Now, when it comes to the eligibility, one of the main eligible criteria here is that the applicant must meet the eligibility criteria of the subsequent career development award that they are intending to apply for during this pre-application support fund. They must also hold the pre-application support fund award at a member of the Maternity Disparities Consortium. And a list of all the members can be found on this slide set, but also on our website. The candidate must have research interests that align with the Maternity Disparities Consortium themes, work streams, or core functions. And this must be discussed and agreed with a theme, work stream, or core function lead, co-lead, and the theme capacity development lead as well. All the awards must be embedded within our themes. Again, you can find these on the Our Research section of the website. All applicants must have agreed their current position, how their current position will be covered, and have support from their line manager and supervisor. And all applicants must be based in any 4 of the UK nations, and we particularly welcome applications from those working in Northern Ireland, Wales and Scotland. In terms of core expectations and outputs for the pre-application support fund, one of the core expectations is that there must be an application submitted for a career development award at an external funder at either a pre-doctoral, doctoral, postdoctoral stage. The application must be submitted either during this award or shortly after you complete the award. Any offer is subject to robust supervision arrangements, which must be outlined on the application form. You must provide details of the committed supervisors, and at least one of those supervisors must be based within the Maternity Disparities Consortium. Applications not including a named scheme from an identifiable funder will not be considered for this award. Now, when it comes to the benefit of applying, there are lots of reasons to apply for a pre-application support fund with the consortium. Alongside your award plans, the opportunity also provides you with a peer support network of awardees across the consortium. It will also provide you with membership to the NIHR Academy. It will provide you with links to the wider Maternity Disparities Consortium research community. It will also support and give you opportunities from your supervisor, mentor, and the capacity development team within the consortium. You will also become a member of our Maternity Researchers Network, also known as MatResNet. And this award will also allow you time and resources to focus on your continued professional development. Now, how to apply. Firstly, make sure you read that guidance document. You must also consult the capacity development lead aligned with your relevant theme, workstream, or core function. You must also consult your relevant theme, workstream, core function lead or co-lead. These will need to sign off your application form. You must also have support from your employing organisation and a plan on how your position will be backfilled and sign off from your finance officer. That sign off is also needed on the application form. You then must submit your application along with your CV and either a timetable of activity during your award or a Gantt chart to our website, which you will find on the guidance form as well. The deadline for applications is 12 noon on Thursday, the 30th of July, 2026. Now I'm going to bring Judith in now, and we have had some questions submitted through the registration form and emailed to us. So some of these we will discuss now.
Thank you very much, Andy. So as Andy says, we're going to go through some of the pre-submitted questions, and there will still be time after we've done that to take some of the questions that I can see are coming in, and Emma's going to tell us what those are after we finish our pre-submitted ones. So one of the key questions that we've had was, can I apply for this award and the NIHR Academy Pre-application Support Fund? So those who are working in England know that the NIHR do have an existing scheme. They don't have such a scheme in Northern Ireland, Scotland, and I don't believe it's exactly the same scheme in Wales. So our answer to that is yes. You can still apply to both, but we wanted to highlight some of the key differences that there are between these two schemes. So for the NIHR Pre-application Support Scheme, so this, I suppose let's just call this the general one, they will fund up to from 0 to 100% of your time for 12 months, 1k in conference fees, 5k in training, and 3k in support and mentorship and indirect costs. Typically only open to England and Wales, and NIHR awards the Development and Skills Enhancement, so the DSE award, the pre-doctoral, doctoral, postdoctoral, research professorship, senior clinical and practitioners research award are the kind of awards that you would be applying for after your pre-application. And they have 3 rounds in any 1 year. The Maternity Disparities Consortium Pre-application Support Scheme, we are offering up to 30,000 for 12 months. But we are expecting that people may do it at different percentage time, depending on their own circumstances. But as it's already been said, we want these applications to be completed by the 31st of December 2027. They'll be can be located in England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. And the subsequent Career Development Award can be any recognised award. And what we mean by that, it doesn't have to be only an NIHR award. It's any scheme that offers the award level that you are looking for. And we have 10 awards, and we only have 1 round of these pre-application support fund. Okay, shall we go on to the next question? So this question is, if the pre-application topic overlaps across multiple themes, how can we access signposting advice and what the best fit would be within the themes? So as we've already indicated, the themes, work streams and core functions have a leadership group which consists of a lead, co-leads and emerging lead. You can contact those people, any of those people, to get advice, and you should be working with those individuals to develop your application, because the research work has to be aligned with their work programs. You can also contact the capacity development leads. They're assigned to the themes, and have a conversation with them to explore potential supervisors and make sure your work or the planned work aligns best with which theme. All applicants and their work will become embedded within the themes, and as I said, must align with their research programme. And the address, the email address there is given there if you have any other queries that you want to ask as you're preparing your application or subsequent to this webinar. Next slide, please. So this one concerns applicants who are not currently employed by the host university, but they have the support of a consortium investigator and an eligible host organisation. How can funding be used to support their time in research development activities, and what governance arrangements would be expected? So again, there's a series of conversations you must have before you prepare your application, and you must talk to the employing organisation, including the line manager and finance officer, to explore the options and costings, because as Andy's already alluded to, these they have to sign off your application as well. We have tried to make this fund as flexible as possible. So again, talk to us, talk to the organisation and the leads that you're hoping to base your application with. But we do have at that time limit that I mentioned for these applications to be completed. But in terms of how much of your time you want to spend on that, we can be flexible. Next slide. Are there specific maternity disparity research areas that the fund is prioritising, or is the scheme intentionally open to support proposals across the entire maternity disparities agenda? So just really to reiterate again that the research must be embedded within our existing themes, work streams and core functions, and further information on these can be found in the research section of our website. But the idea here is that these awards and the individuals that hold them will become very much embedded within the theme, part of the theme's working programme. This is not about funding other aspects of maternity disparities research, which are not being undertaken by the consortium. Next slide, please. Can applicants who are employed solely in a clinical role be hosted by an NHS trust, or is a university host required? So the most important thing here is that the applicant is hosted at one of our Maternity Disparities Consortium organisations, and the primary supervisor must be based within the consortium. Although you can be employed outside of a university host, you must consider your supervision arrangements and support for applying for future funding. So I think it's really important when you're preparing these applications that you're not just thinking about the work that you'll do and the supervisor arrangements, etc., during the pre-application, but how that will give you the best opportunities to be competitive for your future career development application. Next slide, please. Okay, so those were some of the pre-submitted questions that we've had. Now we can go over to, we've probably got about, say, 15 minutes. We can go over to some of the questions that have been submitted whilst we've been delivering the webinar. And I'm going to hand over now to Emma, who's going to tell us some of those questions. Thanks, Emma.
Yeah, so I'll start with some of the ones that we have got in the chat here. So the first one is, I'm affiliated with an MDC member organisation the University of Bedfordshire, but my employment contract ended in November 2025. Am I eligible to apply? And if so, what hosting arrangements would the MDC require to be in place before I submit?
So again, with that, you would need to have a conversation with our leads based at sorry, was it Bedfordshire you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, at Bedfordshire, to have a discussion about how the work might fit with the work that they're contributing to the overall work of the consortium. I'm sorry, there was a second part to that question which I missed.
It says, what hosting arrangements would the NDC require to be in place before I submit? Which I guess is we expect you to be having those conversations with whoever your host is going to be and have that signed off within your application.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Sorry, I missed the second part.
No, that's fine. So the next question is, the guidance states the primary output must be a fellowship application. Can a pilot research grant such as the NIHR RFPB be named as a secondary output running alongside the fellowship application, or must the fellowship be the sole output?
Oh my goodness, if you can do a fellowship application and an RFPB application at the same time and be successful in both, we'd be absolutely delighted. So absolutely not. Don't restrict your ambitions. But for us, the intention with these awards is to give you the dedicated time that you don't have just now to prepare a fellowship application. So that will be the sort of barometer that we measure this against, is who has been able to go on and apply. The expectation is you go on and apply for a future career development, which is likely to be a fellowship.
Yeah. And then the next question from this person is the NIHR doctoral award an appropriate target fellowship for a pre-doctoral applicant? And the answer is yes.
Yes, that's one we can answer quickly. That's absolutely a target scheme that you could be thinking about, especially if you, as the person who asked the question, is at a pre-doctoral stage.
Yeah. So, and there's a couple of people who are asking around the postdoctoral fellowship and when that would be likely to open. So appreciating that today we're talking about the pre-app scheme, we are expecting the postdoctoral fellowship scheme to open sort of a similar time next year. So sort of June 2027 is when we expect our postdoctoral fellowship scheme to be open. And someone is asking, would it be open to statisticians, which it would be, but obviously will be relevant to the work of the consortium.
And just on that, keep visiting the website. We will be updating all our information, well, about every aspect of the consortium, but especially about our capacity development opportunities and schemes, and well in advance of the official call. So please keep checking in with the Maternity Disparities Consortium website.
Can I also add to that, we also have a LinkedIn account as well. So please do, you can follow us on LinkedIn and sign up to the newsletter as well, just to keep on top of what opportunities are coming.
Would it be helpful to put the website link into the chat, just so it's convenient for everyone?
Yeah, the website links have gone in, but I think if you put the LinkedIn in as well, that'd be great. So next question. Can the scheme fund equipment like PC to aid focus and access to software that organisations' PC securities might not allow?
I think, without completely understanding the question, I think the answer would be no. I'd have to know a little bit more about the specific equipment that was being requested. But so was there a bit about the host organisation not?
Yeah, access to software that organisations' PC securities might not allow.
I suspect if the organisation doesn't allow, we may have a similar attitude to that, but without knowing exactly what the equipment is. I think the one thing I would want to say is that these applications are not there to get you funding for something else that you haven't been able to fund through another route. This is about offering you dedicated funded time to spend working on a future career development application.
So I guess following on from that, there's another question from Jude saying, I work part-time and would not be looking for salary buyout, but would instead want to do extra hours. Is this possible?
Again, talking to whoever would be hosting the application and talking to them through your contracting. But in theory, it would be possible, but as I say, would have to get the approval of whoever's going to be hosting the application.
Excellent. So the next question is, can I do this remotely if hosted by an MDC member organisation? So can they hold the pre-application support fund if hosted by a MDC member organisation, but they're hosted remotely? So they say they're in Scotland.
So again, I think in theory, yes, you could. I would be a little bit concerned about what the plans would then be for the future career development application, in terms of, obviously you would be building up relationships with the pre-application support host institution. So I would think you would want to be based there going forward for your future career development award. but that may not be the case. So in theory, yes, you can. I think you need to also think about that interaction, and does that work? Would that work well and give you all the opportunities that you need to support you during the pre-application support, so that you're very well placed to make that future career development application.
Okay. What if my research spans more than one theme, or is it relevant to both a theme and a core function, or similar? Is there any tips on this?
Yeah, that's perfectly allowable, and I'm sure that will be the case for a number of people. So again, it is about having those relevant conversations with the theme leads, work stream leads, and the capacity development lead. In that situation, I would definitely go to, I mean, you could send in some details to that generic email that we said there, and we could point you in which we think is the best capacity development lead individual to start your conversations with. But certainly if the work as agreed by with the theme covers core functions and work streams, that's absolutely allowable.
Okay. And then we've got a couple of questions asking around the institutional sign off. So we've got a couple of people asking who's the right person. So they're currently employed by, for instance, in this question, Leicester, but the proposed host institutions, Manchester, or if people are on leave, who's the most appropriate person. So I guess in this instance, if your proposed host institution is Manchester, but you're currently employed by Leicester, we'd be expecting Manchester to sign it as the people who would be hosting it for you. There's another question around if you're currently on a fixed term contract, not an academic position, what are the applicant's contract does not cover the applied period. Again, we'd expect that finance signature to be coming from the person that is going to be hosting your award. So getting that signed up. And then someone mentioned about the availability of staff and deadlines being quite difficult. So deputies can sign if they've got the appropriate authorities to sign for that host organisation. That's what I would say there. If there's anything else to add on that.
No, just to say we understand that this is not necessarily the best time to be putting out. It is predanes. It's not completely our original timeline, but we still do need those sign-offs. But if it is somebody in an appropriate position who is, say, as Emma said, maybe a deputy, then we would accept that.
Okay, so we've got a question from Marina here. What are considered underrepresented professions and disciplines?
So we have, I'm not going to give you a complete list, but in terms of professions, we've got nurses, midwives, health visitors, but it could also be occupational therapists or etc., physiotherapists who are involved in some way within maternity inequalities research, pharmacists, primary care, etc. In terms of methodologies, that's things like health economics, statistics, digital data, etc. Was there another third bit to that, Emma? Sorry.
No, it's just underrepresented professions and disciplines. So I think you've covered that. Would the support fund cover a placement with another MDC member organisation under the training aspect?
If that placement was absolutely key to the development of the Future Career Development Award, then you could certainly include it with justification. But it would need to be made very, very clear what advantages that placement would give that individual in support of their future application.
Okay. And then Malika is just asking us to clarify. So it says in some parts of the guidance, it specifically says a fellowship funding application submitted to an external funder, but in some sections and in today's webinar, we've talked more about career development was not specifically a fellowship. So she just wanted to check whether the subsequent application has to be a fellowship or whether it could be another personal award, such as the NIHR Postdoctoral Award. I think we'd consider the NIHR Postdoctoral Award a fellowship anyway, but it is about being a career development award. So that could be a fellowship or a slightly different career development award.
Absolutely, that's right. That's correct.
Is it possible to apply if not in another post, e.g. straight after a PhD.
Sorry, not to straight after a PhD.
Yeah,
If you're not,
could you straight out, if not in another post, for example, straight after a PhD. So I guess if you're not currently employed, I would take that if you're not in another post.
that would involve conversations with the institution that you think would be host, and they would have to take that responsibility on of offering you a post. I mean, these applications are flexible, but we imagine that people are likely to spend maybe one day, maybe maximum 2 days a week over a year or less, whatever is suited to them. So it wouldn't provide a full employment to an individual. It's really about buying out time to let individuals dedicate their time in the writing of a strong application.
And then something back, could an RFPB be the only output, i.e. no fellowship application? I think the answer to that would be no, because we want this to be a career development award, whereas an RFPB is sort of a research grant.
That's correct. These are about career development awards. So we're looking through this and other of our fundings to really offer opportunities and to develop individuals who will become future leaders in maternity disparities research.
Can the MDC postdoctoral fellowship scheme be a target career development award for this pre-app funding?
Yes, is the answer. So yes, it could be, and if the timings and everything else work for that individual, then certainly would accept that as a future career development application.
Yeah. So I'm in a fixed term contract as a research fellow until March 2027. Can I still apply for this application support?
So you could, in that you could apply to start in October, which is when we hope some people will take up the opportunity, but you would have to complete the pre-application support, I would suggest, either complete it by the end of March or have the arrangement with the host institution that you can extend beyond March 2027, I think it was you said, but you would only then have the time that was awarded through the pre-application support unless you'd been able to make another arrangement with the host institution.
If we go via one of our capacity development leads, can we then explore supervision with any academic in their organisation whose research aligns with, whose research ours aligns with, obviously within the consortium focus areas?
Yeah, so the capacity development leads are there to signpost and advise. They could also, of course, be part of your network or collaborators or a supervisor, etc. But they can signpost you to individuals within the consortium where your interests or work or the skills you're looking to develop would be well placed to support you with.
We've got someone asking, can a Health and Care Research Wales Advanced Fellowship Award be a target fellowship for people who live in Wales? Which, without having looked at the details of the scheme, I think absolutely that looks like the right kind of scheme. And I guess with the scheme being open across the 4 nations, we're aware that there is going to be a wide range of fellowships that are open to different people within those different nations. So expect to see that variety in there.
Absolutely, that's the case, and that's why we've been flexible about who would be offering the career development award. As I said before, it's not just about NIHR awards. It could be a charity, it could be another government option. The one thing I will just emphasize is that you must check the eligibility, and obviously we will be checking it as well. And if you're not eligible for that subsequent future application, then unfortunately you wouldn't be eligible for the pre-application support fund. Emma, I'm just going to suggest we take one more because I can see we're almost at time.
That's right. So the final question, could one's research to be developed later be based in other countries beside the UK?
Again, in theory, yes, if that is very much seen as part of the theme's work, but it may be that that just isn't an aspiration or an expectation of the theme's work programme as it stands. So that would definitely need to be a discussion with the theme leads, depending on which theme your work is best fitted. Okay. All right, well, we've just got a couple of minutes left, so I just want to use that, if I could, to thank everyone for joining us today. We recognise there's probably a lot more questions that people have, so really an invitation to continue to submit them to the generic email address that we gave, and we will be producing a FAQ on the website, so we'll be adding all of this. And as we said at the beginning, we recorded the webinar, and we will be putting that up on the website as well as sharing it with everyone who's registered. And finally, I just want to thank everybody who's been involved in setting up this webinar. So Andy, Emma, Sarah and Jen, who's in the background, making sure everything's running to schedule. And as I say, thank you to everyone for joining us today. And please do consider applying to this opportunity. And Andy, last word from you is the reminder of the deadline.
Yes.
For applications.
Yeah, that's noon, 30th of July.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Bye.